2019 CR 11017W, State of Texas versus Michael Schumacher. Could I have parties announced for the record?
Daniel Escobar for the state.
Sean Henderson for the defense.
All right. And are you Mr. Schumacher?
Yes, ma'am.
Am I pronouncing it right? Is it Schumacher or Shoemaker?
Shoemaker.
All right. You're Mr. Shoemaker.
Yes, ma'am.
All right. We're here on a motion to reconsider.
Yes, Judge. Defense filed that motion. We were here about a week ago, Judge, on a motion to revoke his probation. Mr. Shoemaker did plead true to violating his probation by traveling outside of the county. Just for the court's recollection or whatever, he was going on a cruise was the reason he'd gone out of the county. And at the last week when we had that agreement, I hadn't had at the time to speak with my client in person about everything outside of the courtroom.
Mhm.
And so that was the reason why we filed the motion to reconsider. I did want to address some things that we were not able to bring up at that
Sure.
last setting. So while he's been on probation, I'd like to actually focus on the last couple of years, because it seems like that over the last 2 years, Mr. Shoemaker has made substantial changes to his life to better himself and to become a better person. So while on probation, he has continued checking in with his probation officer. He's continued having negative UAs. And as kind of outside of probation, he has also worked on his becoming sober. And so I believe that he has a statement that he will make, telling you a little bit about how he has become sober over the last couple of years. In addition to that, he is kind of improved his job situation so he can provide for his family also, Judge. And we do also have a couple of character letters, which I think can describe his, I guess, him outside of the court, outside of the criminal justice system a little bit better than I can do. So I'd like to present those to the court as well, Judge.
State judge.
All right. The court will review the letters.
And I believe that my client would also like to.
All right. You want to raise your right hand? Do you solemnly swear and affirm the testimony you give will be the truth and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right. You can lower your hand, state your name for the record.
Michael Paul Shoemaker.
All right.
I'd just like to say, last time I was in front of you a couple of years ago, I had asked you for some, I needed some help with my alcoholism, and you had had me do 90 and 90. And I just want to let you know I did complete that, and I have kept going on with that. So I think that has helped my sobriety. I'm not going to be any good if I'm behind bars as far as providing and taking care of all my responsibilities I need to out there.
All right. So here's my question.
Yes.
Why were you not thinking of that before you disobeyed the court's orders?
So I did talk to my probation officer about going on the cruise, and I gave her the time, the dates, and all that, and I never heard back from her. And I don't really have I don't have an excuse. I didn't follow the order.
Probation? On this case, is there notation that he talked to his probation officer about going on a cruise? All right, thank you. All right, you may continue.
I'm just trying to better my life and trying to make better decisions.
But see, that's the problem. You're not making better decisions. And your thought should have been that if I have not heard from probation back on my cruise, you could have came to court, probation officers here, and you could have said, hey, I sent a letter and talked to my other probation officer about going on this cruise, and I haven't had a word back. And you know what they would have done? They would have called that probation officer and they would have said, oh yeah, we're going to put that before the judge and see what she says. When you're on probation, this whole thing where it's better to ask for forgiveness than permission, that doesn't work when you're on probation. And not only did you go on a cruise or attempt to go on a cruise, they arrested you before you could go, but you were going with someone who had a protective order against you. So that's two things you did wrong. One, you were going on a cruise without the court's permission. And two, you were going on a cruise with someone that you were not supposed to be around because they had a protective order against you. And I understand that sometimes women will have a protective order against a guy, and then the next thing you know, they're back together, and they're traveling or they're living together. And then something happens and that person calls the police. And then guess what? You come to court and say, well, I've been living with her. She was fine with it. You're not supposed to. Those are against the rules.
Yes, Your Honor.
Probation?
Yes, Judge, there was notation that Mr. Shoemaker asked for permission. And at that time, the CSO indicated that she wanted him to become more current on his fees and enrolled in his MRT.
See, and you hadn't even enrolled in your MRT, is that correct?
Well, I was getting ready to enroll with MRT, and I had already gone through the list of them, and I had one picked out. And I told my probation officer, and she said to me the last time to hold off on signing up because she wanted to talk to you to see if I still needed the MRT class. So that was the last I had heard from her. She said,
All right,
"Hold
most
off."
definitely you need the MRT because you're not making rational decisions.
Correct.
All right. Any questions?
Nothing to say.
And Judge, I do believe that he is making better decisions than he was before. He has worked on his sobriety, and I don't know that he mentioned this, but after completing those 90 days, he did go through a sober living facility that he successfully completed. And he had been on parole, and he successfully completed parole as well. So we believe that he is making better decisions than he was before. What we're asking for is we are asking for the court to follow the original agreement. However, since this court does have concerns about his ability to make good decisions, we're asking that the court does want him to work on that or enroll in something. There is a course, a cognitive behavior course that is outside of ISF, and we asked the court to order that instead of the ISF.
And what course is this?
I spoke with probation about it. It's 10 classes, 20 hours. I don't have more information than that, Judge.
Probation? What class is this?
It is a course that we, I believe, go through CATS through. I believe it's through CATS, but it's a cognitive behavior course. It's 20 hours, and it goes for 10 weeks, and it targets the thinking errors and standing cognitive issues.
Okay.
Additional information indicate it develops pro-social attitudes and behaviors.
Oh, okay. All right, thank you. All right. State?
Your Honor, the state would be in agreement. Previously, whenever we were here on this MTR, we did request something that was out of custody. It was 90 days, 50 days. We didn't get into that. But we do think that this additional requirement will be helpful.
All right, thank you, State. All right, this is what the court will do. The court will reconsider, and the court is going to order cognitive behavioral courses through CATS. And I'll hold ISF in abeyance. Is there anything else?
Nothing from the defense, Judge.
Nothing to say.
All right. All right, we can go off the record. Mr. Shoemaker,
Yes, ma'am.
you need to start making better decisions. The
Correct.
state has agreed to this. You are looking at 10 years in the prison. Do you understand?
Yes, Your Honor.
Everything from here on out that you do, you need to ask yourself if it could potentially result in you going to prison for 10 years. If the answer is yes, you should not do it. If the answer is maybe, you should not do it. Do not do this thing with the court where you are deciding that it's better to ask for forgiveness than permission, because that doesn't work in the criminal law world. You understand?
Yes, Your
All right. Is there anything else you need?
Honor. No, but probably not.
All right. And here's the other thing. That person you were going on the cruise with,
Yes, Your
there's
Honor.
a protective order against that person. I mean, that person has a protective order against you. You are not allowed, even if they say, oh, we're back together, everything's going right. You're not allowed to do that. If there's a protective order, which according to what I've received, there is, you need to speak to an attorney to see about getting that lifted if that person wants it lifted. But you are not allowed to be around that person. Do you understand?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right. Thank you.
Thanks, Judge.
Thank you.
You're welcome.